confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. First and foremost, thank you very much for, it's a Sunday morning and evening, and for giving us your time. So as others start joining in, I would like to welcome each of you, and thank you to our esteemed speakers. Without you, this would not have been possible today. And thank you for giving us the time. Thank you for sharing your stories, your heartfelt journey, which is inspiration and motivation for others. And saying that, I would just like to give a brief about who we are. So Breast Cancer Hub, our vision is save lives by awareness, volunteering, education, and research. And our primary focus is breast cancer in women and men, but we stand together against all cancer through our BCH WINGS cancer hubs. And I would say that, Ravina, you are my inspiration for colon cancer hub. Raghu for Stomach Cancer Hub, and all other, fighters and families. Dr.
Thank
Priti
you.
for Stomach Cancer Hub. And, we have a lung cancer. We are honoring late Sabita, who is from India. In her honor, and all the other lung cancer fighters and their family, we are doing the lung cancer hub. So everything, it was not planned, nothing was planned with, otherwise we wouldn't have had the breast cancer hub as the organization name, right? So, but then things built up and everything is emotionally driven. All our services are free of cost, and everything that I do is a pro bono and volunteer. I'm the founder, Dr. Lopamudra Dasra. And our mission is early detection and prevention, cancer screening camps and awareness, community outreaches, village adoption, patient treatment aid, research counseling. We have a support group, which is a very private WhatsApp group. And for us, our patient privacy is utmost important. We are a global family, and we bridge the gap between the developed and the developing world. And we definitely stand against discrimination of color, religion, language, and culture. We serve everyone with equality, with a focus that even if we can save one life, we save a family. That's who we are. And today I'm going to talk a little bit. So we are launching few early detection cards, which for the last 2 months, I would say more than 1 month, 1.5 or 2 months, we have been trying to build with the help of our BCH India ambassadors. So I'm so grateful to each of them. And I'm going to announce their names here. But before that, just want to give a brief about, we also developed this oral cancer screening card, and we are launching it today. And the concept goes like this. So as you know, we have adopted many villages, and when we would go and do the screening, right, for breast cancer, what came up was every household in Northeast India eating tobacco, chewing tobacco. So you can see here, I went this February, and when I'm talking about breast cancer screening and, about oral hygiene, they're actually, cutting the betel nut. So, and no concept of oral hygiene. And so many oral deaths due to oral cancer. So that's when I felt that why don't we give something like self-oral cancer screening card? And this would not have been possible, without, this would not have been possible without Dr. Emmanuel Azaria, who helped to develop each and every step from scratch. And this could be possible with the help of Dr. Sandhya Pandravati, who is actually Dr. Raghava's wife, who helped me to get connected to Dr. Emmanuel. And I'm so thankful to Anubha Gupta, our India ambassador, who helped in, building this card along. So it's a full team effort, and we have our self-oral cancer screening card, and I'm going to send it to everyone. And please share it with the network, especially it's so much needed in the Asian countries, so that we do not detect, so that we can do our self-examination of oral cancer screening ourselves, and we report to the doctor immediately. We are also launching the colon cancer, colorectal cancer early detection card today. And I would like to really acknowledge Ravina, because she would be always saying, Lopa, we really need to do this. I said, yes, Ravina, we will do it. And I'm so thankful. And all the artwork is our original artwork. And so thankful to Shivani Srinivas, Shraddha Sharma, who are here probably today. And heads off to you both. You have put so much effort, and I wanted to bring something in one place, so that even when we are taking these cards to the villages, when people do not know to read and write, when they see the card, they will actually know that, yes, like it is needed, and by the pictures, they will understand. So this is the colon cancer early detection card. We are also launching today lung cancer early detection card, and so thankful to our BCH India ambassadors, Debashri Purkaister, Sakshi Palke, Sreyoshi Raut, and Shruti Srivastava. With along, we built it together, and all these pictures are made by, our India ambassadors, and we have this card today. And we were having this deadline, and I know how hard they all worked to build this together so that we have it all in one place. Our next card we are launching today is stomach cancer early detection card. So that, and the credit goes to Bhavini Dikshit, Shakti P, Vaishali Ghosh, Ritvik S, and Sohini Chakravarti, who helped me through and through. And big shout out to, how they build the pictures and everything, so that even when they see the symptoms, because the problem is, as I do the outreaches, lot of times detection is at stage 3 and stage 4 for all the 3 type of cancers, especially in the developing countries and even in the developed countries too, even in the US, because we always ignored the signs and symptoms. It was always going on there, but other things take priority for us, and we do not address until and unless the clinical symptoms show up very aggressively. And that's why I feel that these cards will be so important, because each card is going to help save life. And then I want to also give a big shout out to Subhashini C for helping me during the October month to build this cards on breast cancer, and also Ashna Narayan for helping me to build the cards on the genetics. The factors like 5 to 10% is genetics, is family history. So what are the genes? So we are also trying to focus on different aspects so that we can bring to everyone, to the community through these cards, because these days people do not like to read. So we are hoping that these cards will make an impact in the minds of the people. So saying that, and this we are having cervical cancer early detection card coming up. Magali Gracious is making it. Ovarian cancer by Anagha, childhood cancer by Pinky Sharma, and more educational cards will be made by our new India ambassadors, Deepam Bhandari, Subhashri, Dr. Geetika, Sabina, and Harita Joshi. So saying that, I want to just stop this session, stop this here, so that, I can just request the India ambassadors, if you could come to the video mode one time, so that we all can see you and give each of you a big round of applause, for what you have done for the last so many, like 2 months, and this life-saving cards, hopefully, people will take us seriously now. And hopefully that, what I face every time I go is I'm detected late, and this will not happen, so people will realize the importance of early detection. And big round of applause to our, all the ambassadors. Thank you so much for doing this. Now, I would like to go to the next section, which is for me, would be the most difficult section. But Vijaya, you gave me the permission and you wanted me to speak in honor of our Raghunath Reddy Challa. I hope I can do justice, Vijaya. And Raghu's sister is also here. I don't know if Raghu's other family members or friends are here or not, but this is for you, Vijaya. This is for you, Raghu, and for your family. So I'll just try to read a little bit. So Raghu, he left us on 5th July 2020 at the age of 45, but left a mark in the lives of those who knew him. Due to the word cancer, I got connected to Raghu and his wife Vijay last year, March. And I remember Ravina and I, we went for the first time to meet Raghu at his house, and the warmth and affection I'm sure it touched both of us, right? I mean, always like, and I would be going so many times to meet Raghu, and then every time he would be bothered, like, Lopa, did you eat? Vijay, did you give Lopa coffee? Did you give Lopa this? And one time I remember I went in the evening, and Vijay, I think she went with her mother-in-law to a store or to the temple. And Raghu went to the kitchen and he's like, Lopa, I want to, just don't go without eating. That's how Raghu was, and he was a fighter and never gave up even when doctors surrendered. And I remember that, and I cannot be more grateful to Dr. Raghava here, for, when all the we reached out to MD Anderson, I reached out to all my network, and no one would take Raghu in anymore. And then Dr. Raghava, then Dr. Nilanjan, he connected us to Atrium. We moved Raghu from Novan to Atrium. And thank you, Raghava, for everything you have been doing. So whenever I would visit Raghu, be it at the hospital or his home, would always find him working with a laptop, always working, even.
That's right.
Yeah, and with a zeal in his eyes to conquer the disease. And sometimes I feel that, we tried. He also told me, Lopa, there is a new invention going on in India. Can you figure that out? And I reached out to those people, like a new discovery in Bangalore. So he was on top of everything. He would read, do research, and he would tell me, so never giving up that attitude. And that amazed me each time. And Raghu's friends are equally exceptional. His family, Vijay's brother was all the time here. Now I got to know Raghu's sister came in. His mother was all the time here. And his friends, every time I would go to visit him in the hospital, for 1 week, Raghu's friends would be also there. From all across US, they would come to see him. That reflects what kind of person he was, right? He was also an integral part of our BCH support family. And he was our speaker for the BCH musical night in September 21st, 2019. Raghu's speech touched each and every one that night. We will not let Raghu's spirit fade, and in his honor and memory, and in the honor and memory of everyone we lost to stomach cancer, we now have BCH Wings Stomach Cancer Hub. Raghu is an inspiration who taught everyone how to live life and after. Hats off to your journey, Raghu. We will miss you, but you will be with us at every step, inspiring others. And your life is going to save so many other lives, because when people see in front of their eyes, that's the impact. And how impactful you were. Because I remember last December when I decided with Stomach Cancer Hub, I wrote him a card. And he was immediately so happy. He said, yes, Lopa, we should do that. So when I messaged him afterwards, but this could not have been possible without the permission of Vijaya, Chetan, and Raghu's family and friends for sharing Raghu with us. Thank you, Raghu. You are always with us. And in your honor, we have today the Stomach Cancer Hub. I hope I could do justice to Raghu, and I don't think I can ever do justice to who he was, but he'll be always then. I called him later on Raghu Bhai, so he is Raghu Bhai for me.
Thank you, Lopa.
Thank you, Vijaya, for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vijaya. Our next would be Debashri Purkhaista, who is going to honor her mother, late Savitri Rani Dhar, from Assam, India. So Debashri is going to talk from Assam, India now, and she's also a BCH India ambassador. And Debashri is, so the lung cancer card, the early detection card that you saw, Debashri was a very important part. She was also there building it. So she was leading the efforts to build the card. So, so thank you, Debashri, for helping us to build the lung cancer card. And if you could unmute yourself and with your video on, please speak a few words about your mom. We would love to hear from you. We can't hear you, Debashri. Yeah.
First of all, I would like to thank everyone. Hello.
Yeah, if you could be a little louder, Debashri.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it is okay now. Yes.
Okay. First of all, I would like to. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Debashri Purkhaista, and I am the daughter of Savitri Rani Dhar. She's my mother. She was my mother, and it was 2010 actually when I lost her. She was. I don't know what to say actually. She was a bit of like a fighter to me. She was everything in real life. Even if I just put out the word cancer from her life, then she's an all-rounder. She's an all-rounder. She is just what to say. I have prepared so much of kind of thing to tell, but now I am speechless actually. She completed her graduation from a village where a woman actually get married after age 15 or so. She was all alone by herself when she completed her graduation, then taking a government job and then getting married, then taking care of us. Then, sorry, ma'am, I'm not able to speak anything.
That's okay, Devashri. Yeah, that's okay. So we will move from here, but I just wanted to let you all know, so you know why and who these amazing people were, and we will not let their spirit fade away. You know, they will be always with us through Breast Cancer Hub Wings and within all of us. You know, thank you, Devashri. I mean, you know, like yeah. So and also, you know, our next. So we will. It's very difficult. It's very emotional, but. Our next speaker is Dr. Priti Bhagia, and our stomach cancer hub, you know, as we have honored Raghu, and equally we are going to honor Dr. Priti's husband in honor of Dr. Sarju Bhagia, the stomach cancer hub. Over to you, Dr. Priti.
Thank you, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Dr. Lopadas Mudra. Lopamudra Das Roy, for giving me this platform to share our family's experience, and to the members of Breast Cancer Hub for this opportunity to honor my late husband, Dr. Sarju Bhagia. I would like to share with you who Sarju was, and then I'll discuss what you can learn from our family's experience. Sarju was born and brought up in Pune, India. He was among the top-ranked students of the state of Maharashtra, National Merit Scholar, went to medical school in India. He earned his degree in orthopedics from India as well as England. Then he followed his journey to US, did residency from Temple University in Philadelphia, won several awards. After that, he joined UPenn, where he did his spine fellowship, picked up his first job in Charlotte at Miller Orthopedic Clinic that united with Charlotte Orthopedic Specialist and became Ortho Carolina. Sarju served in many leadership roles. He was fellowship director, national examiner for physical medicine rehab, conducted workshops at annual conferences, had over 100 peer-reviewed publications to his credit. He was author of book chapters, international, national speaker, and having the orthopedic background along with physical medicine and rehab background, he was one of the topmost person in his field in the world. He served as president of local Indian Doctors Association of Greater Charlotte. He was regional director for American Association of Physicians of Indian origin. He did continuing medical education for API, which was our national organization. And along with all this academic work, he was also very fun-loving. He got music to Charlotte in various ways by bringing Shreya Ghoshal, Sunidhi Chauhan, Vishal Shekhar, and did a lot of charitable events, giving to Hindu Center, to Providence Day School, to Metrolina Regional Scholars Academy, Gandhi Statue Uptown. He would be there wherever his heart took him. He was very, very adventurous. He loved skiing, golfing, scuba diving with children. We traveled all over. So the diagnosis of stomach cancer came as a shock for our family. He was diagnosed at stage 4. At diagnosis itself, his cancer was irreversible, and the goal of treatment was just palliation. He passed away in less than 5 months after his diagnosis. I don't wish this for anyone. It is a difficult process to watch your loved one die. Even his doctors were helpless. There was nothing to stop the nausea, vomiting. He couldn't eat due to intestinal obstruction. And he endured complications of medical decision, and no medicine was available to even help his symptoms. He had fatigue for a few years, and he had done the workup for it as well. He always would go for his annual exam, never missed that. And the surprising thing was, in October, he had a normal physical, normal blood workup. And in March, he was told he has stage 4 cancer. It's the visceral cancers, they can be there without causing pain. And by the time pain comes, it may be late. So do not ignore, even if your symptoms are small. Seek attention sooner. Take care of your own health first. Like in airplane, they said, put your oxygen first so you can help others. Please take care of your own health. Don't ignore even the little signs and symptoms which are considered routine, and you may brush it off as routine. Let an expert eye, follow you, even if you have to go for repeated doctor's visit. It may take 2 to 3 visits to arrive at a diagnosis. Another lesson we learned from his experience was be vigilant, seek the best care, don't hesitate to go to the best place for opinions. I had, fortunately, being in healthcare, opinion at my fingertips from various institutions, from colleagues all over the world. But because the diagnosis was so late, it unfortunately could not be helped. Another daunting thing is sometimes I feel in healthcare, families are left to make decisions when they are in a state of shock. And at that time, if you can help somebody, please step up for your own family and relatives. It would mean a lot to them. And for that, I thank the Charlotte community, my parents, children, everybody who was there to support me. Sarju's impact was so vast in the community that the mayor of Charlotte declared the day of his funeral as Sam Bhagia Day. Ortho Carolina dedicated a procedure suite in his name, and Temple University in Philadelphia, the Lewis Katz School of Medicine, started a lectureship in his honor. He has left a legacy behind, and it's our responsibility now to ensure that the legacy is as great as the man himself was. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Priti, for sharing the journey of Dr. Sarju Bhagia. It becomes very difficult, to conduct, even to moderate. Thank you so much. And I have no words to express my gratitude, towards you that you came forward to share the journey. Hats off to you, Dr. Priti. It's not easy. It's not easy. And so proud of your family, to support you. And I know you had a very good friend circle here in Charlotte, which is equally so important, and the doctors fraternity. And thank you for giving the suggestions that what others can do through your experience. That is incredible, because you are showing the way to others, like how important taking care of ourselves is. Thank you, Dr. Priti. And our next speaker is Dr. Asutosh Gore, who is going to, from Carolina Blood and Cancer Care Associates, who is going to talk about stomach cancer and touching a little bit on the colon cancer, early signs and symptoms, and on the awareness part. And we cannot be more grateful to you, Dr. Gore, for your time today. You are an amazing oncologist. I have heard so much about you from Dr. Priti and Ravina. So we are blessed to have you here. Thank you, Dr. Gore, and we are really looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, everybody. This is my first time on the forum. It's very touching story from Priti. I've known Sarju for so long, and in spite of all his achievement, he was so down to earth. I played volleyball with him. we had met in all this association and all that. So segue into how his journey went, where he just had a little bit of unexplained weight loss, not having any symptoms. So stomach cancers are very sneaky disease. All the hollow organ cancers are sneaky disease because you don't get real symptoms. By the time you get real symptoms, pain, severe anemia, bleeding, and all, it's usually a stage 4 or advanced disease. Vague symptoms that with stomach or colorectal cancer for that matter. Colorectal is a little bit easy to detect compared to stomach cancer, but fatigue, very, very mild early iron deficiency from bleeding. So if you go to your primary care and they say, okay, the hemoglobin is fine, but you see that there is signs of iron loss with low MCV, early satiety, you eat usual food and then halfway through you feel completely full. As I said, it's very vague symptoms. It's very hard to seek attention. We here in the US are fortunate. We do our yearly checkups and all. But in countries like India, where it is hard, people seek attention for doctors only when they're really, really symptomatic. Maybe it's financial issue, maybe economical issue, social issue. Stomach cancer in general, as you know, is in the Western hemisphere is not as common. But if you look at in the Eastern world, it is one of the most common cancer. There are over 1 million cases diagnosed each year, and about 780,000 people die from stomach cancer in the world. So it is a very serious cancer. It is mainly sporadic. So about 5 to 8% cases are genetic, but usually it is sporadic. The mortality rate is high in the Western world because of late detection and not enough awareness, as it is not such a common cancer. In especially in Japan, Korea, China, where early detection and very aggressive screening is the part of life there. So the outcomes are much better compared to the Western world. And coming to the genetic part, I'm trying to concise it within 10-15 minutes. So coming to the genetic part of it, as I said, 5 to 8% have hereditary syndromes. The key here from a patient perspective is to have a detailed family history. If you have somebody who has a history of stomach cancer before the age of 40, you should definitely have very aggressive screening and all. Genetic counseling is recommended. Again, we are fortunate in the Western world to have genetic counseling and counselors available even on a phone. But there are societies that would have like a 800 number where you can call and do a counseling over the phone, and a lot of them is free. If you have somebody with a history of stomach cancer above the age of 50 and a history of breast cancer in the family or pancreatic cancer, those are again red flags that these patients should be, or at least the younger generation should be screened on a more frequent basis. Having symptoms of reflux, if you're getting H. pylori infections frequently, if you've been diagnosed with stomach cancer, or stomach ulcers, or if you are having requiring more of the anti-acid or anti-reflux medications, those are all the red flags that needs to be screened at more detail rather than just ignoring. Younger people are always a little bit complacent on follow-ups, or even they ignore symptoms. But if somebody in the family is aware of this, they should definitely try and push for more detailed workup and all. As far as prevention is concerned, we know the risk factors, especially with the experience from the Eastern or the Oriental world, that food does play a role, especially salty food. Smoking, for especially in India and all, smoking, tobacco use, alcohol use, even though there is controversy about alcohol, but consumption of alcohol on a moderate to severe will definitely add to the risk factor. As you were showing the picture of the lady cutting the betel nuts, all those, yes, betel nut, the BD smoking in India, obviously our food habits, we do tend to eat a lot of salty foods, preserved foods, all those are risk factors. And that can be, modifying the lifestyle. But one thing that is risk factor for pretty much all the cancer is stress. And we do not, we all live a stressful life, and whether it's young kids where you have education, getting into high school, getting better grades, so you get into college. So the whole environment has become so competitive and stressful that if I have to blame any risk factor the most, I think stress is #1 risk factor. And I'm sure in Sergio's life also, stress was one of the factors, even though he did not show that he was under stress. He was, such a great soul that he could not say no to anybody. And I think that is one thing that we all should, even in the physician community, the support group people, we should try and alleviate or have outlets where we can relieve the stress and help to prevent cancers. There are a lot of new research coming out. We are finding more and more markers on the tumors that can help to target treatment wise. With stage 4, obviously palliative treatment is the only option we have, but we are, as I said, finding new targets. Similar to colorectal cancer, the microsatellite instability or looking for other markers. We do the MSI, PDL1 testing, and all that is useful to a certain extent. We don't have a magic bullet yet, but as we get more and more into research, and as we find targets on different tumor types with adenocarcinomas, we can definitely look into gastric cancer as well. Coming to colorectal cancer, I've been touched with that. My dad is a colon cancer survivor since 1999. There you may see symptoms a little bit earlier with alteration in bowel habits, constipation, or seeing blood in the stool, or seeing dark stools, and also you may even experience pain, and screening colonoscopy is mandatory here after the age of 50, but with somebody with family history of colorectal cancer, irrespective of, if they're below the age of 60, then the screening should start as early as age of 40. There are hereditary polyposis syndromes, which are in some cases, even for gastric cancer, there's a risk of stomach cancer from those syndromes, Lynch syndrome, the adiposis, APC gene mutation syndromes. So with colorectal cancer, as I said, screening colonoscopies is something that we should stress upon globally, more so in India. When I was in India in training, colon cancer was not that common, but now I see pretty much, like I have at least 5 friends whose parents or sibling or somebody has colorectal cancer, and it's not stressed upon. It's even by their primary doctors there. The resources and the cards that you are printing, I think that's a great awareness campaign. We, our state society, as Raghava can be witness to that ISCO and all, they have a lot of patient-related material. The American Cancer Society has a lot of little pamphlets, and they are free to use. There is no copyright infringement. I think we can try and use those cards as well for awareness. Other thing is, I see most of the cards are in English. Maybe, if they can translate into the regional languages, that will also help to bring awareness, especially in rural areas. I think, I'll just open it up for questions, because there's so much, and I can just keep on talking about treatment options and all that, but I think this is not the right forum for that.
No, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Gore. This was so helpful, from diagnosis, early detection, signs and symptoms to the preventative measures, which is so important for everyone to know. So coming to, about the card. So we are having that in the plan because we have breast self-exam cards for both men and women. We now have it in 20 languages. So we have it in 12 Indian languages. So it takes time because we don't do Google translation. We have really group of volunteers who come forward. So that was the purpose, to have everything in one place. That's why we were focusing so much on the pictures, so that at least even they do, and all the resources are from American Cancer, American Cancer Society and top 10 medical schools. So what we did was we analyzed and reviewed, like all the students, they know how much they reviewed every resources, and then we put together this card so that we do not miss on any signs and symptoms mentioned anywhere. So we are definitely going to work on the local languages. So this is also on our agenda. But thank you for bringing this up, and thank you for emphasizing on the awareness part.
And then one more resource that we use all the time as physician, from a physician perspective, but they also have patient-related information, is the nccn.org, nccn.org, and therefore each specific cancer, they have patient and family awareness, how to help and all that, or education from a layman perspective, and that is also very useful.
Yeah, that's perfect. So we will look it up also over there. Thank you so much, Dr. Gore. And I know we had a sequence of like Terri and Dr. Raghava to go next, but Terri, I was thinking like if Ravina could go next to follow up on what Dr. Gore said. So if that's okay. Is that okay with you? Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Thank you, please.
Yeah, so our next speaker is Ravina Kashyap. Ravina is stage 4 colon cancer survivor. She is also a teacher and an amazing writer. So we get to see Ravina's amazing write-up on Facebook all the time. And thank you, Ravina. And she is our inspiration. And in her honor, we have the Colon Cancer Hub. Over to you, Ravina. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lopa, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this forum today. I would, before I begin, I would like to thank you for everything. I probably have never had a chance to really thank Dr. Gore. Thank you for everything that you've done for me. Every time I was diagnosed or re-diagnosed, I would just call you and you would take time off from your busy schedule to meet up with me at Starbucks or whatever and give me hope. And also want to acknowledge Priti. Priti, we both have shared similar journeys and, kind of a similar challenge. I know all I can say is that I saw you go through this, and I went through, colorectal cancer. It is one of the abdominal cancers, which I was diagnosed with it in 2014, around the same time as Sarju. And, I was stage 3 when I was diagnosed, and I had no idea, like Dr. Gore said, that many of the times these abdominal cancers, we ignore the signs. We think it's only acidity and it might be our Indian spicy foods. It's genetics, I'm not sure, but little did I think that at the age of 44, I would be diagnosed with stage 3B colon cancer. And I went into the ER to get a blood transfusion when I realized I had been having these prolonged symptoms, and I was so totally unaware of symptoms of colorectal cancer. I had no idea. Being an educated woman living in the United States of America, I was so unaware of cancer. I think that is a word that we all like to stay away from. I have, and now I have learned how to get over my fear of cancer. I talk about it, I advocate awareness. And, but I yet see that when I try to talk about it, most people shy away from it. People do not like to talk about cancer. It is death and cancer are two of the most feared words. But when you are faced with near death, you learn how to get over your fears and it becomes part of your life. I have learned how to, befriend cancer and make it part of my life, talk about it normally. Anyway, but in 2014, I was sent in to just get a blood transfusion. One thing led to another. I was at Mercy Hospital, and I did not see the light of day. I did not see the outside of the hospital for 10 days. I had to have an emergency surgery right after they did a colonoscopy on me. And they did not even wait for the biopsy because, of course, Dr. Gaspari, a very, very well-known and experienced doctor, he just, I guess he just knew. And within it, we had my surgery on a Saturday morning, and followed by 5 weeks later the Folfox treatment for 6 months. And then and it took a toll on me. And but then I was in remission for 2 years. And then in 2016 I was again, they found a couple of mets in my left lung, and so I advanced to stage 4 colon cancer in the lungs. So this kept happening to me. And then another year later, they found another 2 mets in the same lung. So irrespective, I was constantly being treated. I was treated with SBRT, which is a stereotactical radiation therapy. And I think, it worked for me. I have been in remission since 2018. And I am just very, very thankful for the time I have got on this earth. And I feel that I have a mission, to spread awareness. Especially, I've had the good fortune at that time to meet Dr. Lopamudra Das Roy, and she has been an amazing inspiration to me to go on. At that point, I wanted to start my own my own organization, nonprofit. But after meeting with her, I decided that I was honored and lucky to just be with her, and we decided to work on the colon cancer hub wing. And we just working to create this awareness for people, whoever needs it. And we have been fortunate enough, the 2 of us, where people have actually Googled, from India, from remote parts, small towns of India, and they come up with Dr. Lopa and my interviews, and they have reached out to us, and we have tried to work with, at least in this COVID time, maybe at least 3 people. And it has been an amazing journey, because I know we can't do anything more than just support them, but we have been able to, connect them to different doctors, give them the little support, and, and that itself makes me feel, very accomplished, and makes me, it just fills me up with lots of gratitude that I am able to do my part, however little it is. The other thing I just want to say is that please don't ignore the signs. Like Dr. Gore said, I know those are all medical related. I am not a health professional. I can only talk as a survivor and reach out to people. But please don't ignore the signs. In India, people yet do not know anything about having a colonoscopy. I have my own parents, they are in their 70s and 80s, and they obviously never had a colonoscopy. And, even today, when I tell people in India, and they're like, no, I'm not going to have a colonoscopy. And people have this fear. And a very good friend of mine, just about a month back, had a colonoscopy, and she was so fearful. And I told her, if you can take the day before a colonoscopy, if you can handle the prep, I mean, the rest is just, it's nothing. I mean, if you handle the prep, the rest, you should just love the propofol. You're gone for 15 minutes, you're relaxed. So, I mean, colonoscopy is important. Don't ignore any signs of fatigue, or blood in your stools. Very, very important. Another thing that we had realized when I was diagnosed is my vitamin D levels were down to like 11,000, whereby it has to be like minimum of 30 to 40,000 units. And I was at 11,000. I truly believe that vitamin D, taking 50,000 units of vitamin D in the last 6 years has kept me going. I don't know. I don't have any medical facts for it, but I do feel that vitamin D plays a big role. There's a lot of articles out there that speak about the benefits of vitamin D for cancers. And I think I truly, as a survivor, believe in that. That's pretty much all I can say. I can just say that, I thank the Charlotte community. We are like one family. I had my family back in India. My parents were visiting, but they were at a loss. They came here for my daughter's graduation, but they had to deal with my health. And we were all at a loss. So the Charlotte community came through at that point. And I've had so much of support. So that has really, really kept me going. I traveled, and another thing I did was I fulfilled my one wish that I always had, and that was to travel the world. And I traveled between my chemotherapies. My family took me, my husband, he was like, we forgot what savings mean. We just started traveling as a family, and that's been very therapeutic. And now we have gone to far-flung places, Morocco. I mean, I've done whatever like I really wanted to do. I am in a very good place, and I have let go of my fears of what is to come, but I just fill myself with gratitude every single day for being here and being able to talk. And thank you again, Lopa, for letting me, do and be here and talk. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Priti. Thank you, Dr. Gore. Thank you, Dr. Raghava. I have heard so much about you, even though we have never connected. I feel connected. And just one last thing I want to say is, again, in honor of Raghu, he was amazing to me. Every time I saw him, he reminded me of a Tollywood hero. And he was just amazing. Vijaya, Raghu always holds a special place in my heart, and he's gone, but he will never be forgotten. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ravina.
Ravina, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priti.
Thank you, Ravina. That was so inspirational. And as I said, I think moderating is so I mean, I'm not that bad. It's like I'm not able to today speak much, but thank you so much, Ravina, for sharing your journey. And that your story, wherever I'm traveling all across all the outreaches, your story, your picture, for giving me the permission. And your picture is an eye opener. When I'm telling your story, it's an eye opener. Otherwise, it doesn't filter into the mind. That first is the fear, and then it's like, what are colon cancer symptoms? And I'm so grateful to you for sharing your life with us, you know, that way it's an inspiration for so many, and it's saving so many lives, because a lot of people are getting detected early when I'm doing all the outreaches. And now hopefully our colon cancer card is going to generate more and
That's
more,
right.
because it will be right in front of everyone's eyes, and I'm going to post it everywhere so that
Yes,
people
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention the colon cancer card. And, you know, I mean,
can.
Lopa makes it so easy for everybody. She puts me in the front, but she's the backbone of everything. She works so hard, and she'll say, here's the card, Ravina, what do you think? And I'm like, oh my God, Lopa, you just like, you're amazing, you know, like I don't even know what she's doing, you know, in the background, and she is just working tirelessly day and night.
No,
Just, oh, Lopa,
it's,
I'm in awe of you.
no, please, Ravina, it's my, and I am so thankful to the students like who build the cars, and they have been tireless, and they know how strict I am too. So I'm like going back and forth with them and giving them a hard time, but I'm so proud of them, you know, each of them
Yep.
who helped with building all the early detection cars. And thank you so much.
No, thank you to those students too,
Yeah,
from, you
thank
know,
you.
from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes.
Our next, so we are going to move now. We have been talking about stomach cancer, lung, colorectal cancer, and now we are going to move to lung cancer. And as you know, that November is Lung Cancer and Stomach Cancer Awareness Month. So our first speaker is Terri. Our first speaker is Terri Conneran, who is our lung cancer survivor. She is the director and founder of KRAS Speakers. She is also the director of LiveLung International Relations. We are so honored to have you, Terri. It's our blessing that you have acknowledged to be here. Thank you so much. We are looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Lopa. I got to tell you, I am so honored to be included in this group of utterly amazing people. It is horrible that I get connected through such a terrible thing as cancer, but the mere fact that we have this global community of love and support that you're spearheading is just, it's more than heartwarming. It's just hope inspiring. So let me tell you real briefly about how I was diagnosed with lung cancer. In 2016, I had been, just, you know, doing my thing, had a cold, I had allergies, had been back and forth to the doctor on again, off again for several years, and been diagnosed with asthma. I went into the doctor, she said, well, you know, you're just not using the right asthma medication. So we switched up asthma medications, and she's like, well, give it a little time. It's going to take some time to work. So I did that, and next thing it's like, well, it must be allergies. I must have a headache. It's just once, you just kind of like, as he said, you kind of write off and just assume that you've got just some stress going on in your life, and it just must be something else. Right before Christmas of 2016, my husband says, you know, we've got all the kids coming. You need to go to the doctor. Just get into the doctor, get your antibiotics, and let's just move on so you start feeling better, you know, as everybody comes in. So I went to the doctor just expecting, you know, a cold. She could hear the fluid in my lungs. She could hear the gurgling from what was going on in there. So she said, well, let's just do a little chest x-ray, see what's going on. And I got to say, the fluid in my lungs highlighted the tumor that was growing in there to alert us that we were having a problem. Well, you know, you've definitely got pneumonia. We need to get this taken care of. Let's get you on some antibiotics. And so and you need to come back. We need you to come back in 10 days. So I did that. I came back about 2 weeks later, 1st of January of 2017, and we went in, and it's not a fun experience going in and going to the doctor and having just them tell you that we might think that there's something going on, but we're just going to do some analysis, and did a whole bunch of diagnostics over the course of about 3 weeks, which, to be honest with you, at this point is a little bit of a blur. Cancer runs in my family, had been doing the things that I thought I needed to do, had done my colonoscopy, had done my mammogram, had done those things. And I went in and they did a biopsy and they found that it was stage 3 lung cancer. The lung cancer diagnosis was scary. Lung cancer doesn't have a high survivorship. And I was really terrified. I wanted to just kind of like run and hide, but I didn't. I have, a family. I have a lot of love in my family. We have a lot of connections. So I went on, faced it, did chemo. They removed half my left lung, and I had no evidence of disease for 2 years. But I kept going in and getting the screenings, getting the scans done, follow up and make sure that it wasn't spreading. Because one thing you do find out having any cancer at all is it is in there, and you don't know what's in there unless you get scanned, unless you get screened. And there was no screening criteria for me that I qualified for. There was nothing that showed that I should be screened. But once you got screening, now you're just seeing what's going on in there. It's just looking through the drapes, right? It's there. So guys, I found out what was going on. And again, there was a recurrence. I had a recurrence. I went through a treatment again, and no evidence of disease, back to another recurrence. Long story short, 3 times survivor, in and out. And the hard part isn't really fighting the cancer. The hard part is telling people about it, because it becomes emotional. It becomes hard to say. You feel vulnerable. You feel scared. And because I know how that felt on the front end of my journey, that is why I became so involved and so full of advocacy as far as being able to share the story and share with other people. Because had I been screened, had I been scanned, had I actually recognized that maybe I wouldn't have dramatic, big coughing fits. I was not coughing up blood. I just, every now and again, a little bit of a cough, a little bit of a nudge. And you just kind of just ignore it. You just put it off, and you're a busy mom and you're busy working and you're doing all these things. And one thing, and looking back, I was fatigued, but I didn't realize I was fatigued because I'm getting older and, the kids are getting me busy and I'm busy. And so you just kind of discount it, but you need to be able to stand back. And now I've pushed for being screened. Anything that you think may possibly be causing any sort of a problem, you must pull back those curtains. You must look inside and you must see there. I got to tell you, you guys kind of rattled me this morning, really good at giving my story. But because I heard these amazing stories about these people that you guys are also connected with, and I'm overwhelmed with emotion. I can't remember her name. Was it Debashri? Okay. And she was talking about her mom, and that could have been my daughter. That could have been my daughter. Had I not been blessed with having a pneumonia and my husband saying, just go to the doctor and get an antibiotic, and push me to get screened and see what was going on, that would have been my daughter, because I wouldn't be able to be here. And so this has given me the platform of being able to go out there and tell people, and tell everybody that they need to not doubt their body. They need to not be afraid, because it's already happening on inside of you. You need to do what you need to do, right? And the sooner you catch a problem, it's like anything else, right? If there's a little problem, it's easy to solve at the beginning. It's much more hard, right? It's nearly impossible to solve it at the very end. And repeatedly, over and over and over again, we're hearing this, right? So how I overcome this, how I overcome the battle, is I get involved, and it's hard to open up. It's hard to tell people what's going on. It's hard to tell them and share that, your heart, that you're hurting, that there's people out there that don't know what it is that they're fighting, because I didn't raise my hand for this battle, but I'm taking on the best I can and the best I know how. And I would like to thank you guys for everything you're doing. And I got to tell you, Lopa, I mean, I'm so blessed that I'm in Charlotte and I had the opportunity to meet you before this whole COVID nonsense went on, because even though, you know, it says Breast Cancer Hub, you truly are a hub of inspiration and hope. And you truly are recognizing that every life is important in a family matter. And we are, each individual drops it all together. We make up a whole ocean, right? And so this is an ocean of hope. And I got to say, I just admire everything that you're doing. And I just really hope that we can do so many more of these things together and stay connected. And anyway, I normally don't get this emotional about my presentation, but I want to thank you guys all for hearing me out. And if you have any doubts, please ask me a question, send me an email. I'm online. If you Google the name, if you just even Google KRAS kickers, it's going to show up. And that's really what this is, because if I give you some hope, right, I'm sharing hope, and hope shared is hope multiplied. So thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Terri. So touched with your words. And I think, you know, a lot of people ask me, like, what do you get in return, you know? And I think this is what I get. If I can, all the emotions, all the love and affection, even if we can save one person, and that's why I'm trying my best, but it cannot happen without everyone. So that's why our tagline is together we save lives. And I'm so blessed to have amazing friends, amazing network, and now from all across, the students coming forward, joining hands, volunteering, you know, everyone is volunteering. So that is the amazing part. And you know, like, I think we are together, we are making a change and impact and generating this awareness of early detection. Thank you so much, Terri. Blessed to know you. And I have to acknowledge you. I know someone, I cannot disclose the name, and you know him too. And when I got to know his lung cancer relapsed, and I connected him to you, and you were immediately on it, you know, put him on a support group exclusively for lung cancer. So that was so helpful. And thank you so much for doing that, Terri. Always, always eager to help. And same goes with Ravina, same goes with everyone else. And then Vijaya for sharing your journey. Same goes with Dr. Priti. Thank you so much. Our next speaker, our last speaker on the panel, and he's an amazing person. And Dr. Raghava, I know, like, we are talking all the time, but I wanted to really acknowledge and thank you today, you know, for being always there for us, for everyone. Whenever I reach out to you, you're always there to help us. And he's an amazing oncologist. And sometimes I feel that so in depth with the subject, you know, that's what I love about Raghava, Dr. Raghava. So over to you, Dr. Raghava. He's specialized in lung cancer. And thank you. And we're blessed to have you on the panel today. And then after Dr. Raghava's talk, we are going to open the session for question answers for our speaker panel. Thank you, Dr. Raghava.
Thank you, Lopa. You guys can see the slides, right?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful, thank you. And I think, although the first few things I'm going to say was not what I thought was going to say before I joined this conference, but I think it deserves, as I heard some amazing stories, and to be honest, I think I'm quite humbled to be a part of the forum and for the opportunity to speak. And every one of you, I think, thank you for sharing all your stories that are, I think in one word, they're quite powerful, because as a clinician, as a person seeing patients in the hospital or in the clinic, we don't get to hear a lot because we are pushed on time. And when I see my patients, a lot is focused on the symptoms, a lot is focused on the treatment, a lot is focused on the side effects. but we never, or I shouldn't say never, but we rarely touch upon the personal aspect of the journey. There are many instances where I've been taking care of someone for 2 years, and then I learn about their hobby, that they love fishing. And I wonder, how come I didn't know about you all this while? Because we never talk about it. We're always so focused on symptoms. And I think it's amazing to hear the support, the journey that helps, I think, us to understand as well that what goes on beyond what we just talk about, the treatments. Certainly, I don't think we can all conquer any cancer matter without the involvement of every one of you, ranging from LOPA to run an organization to bring awareness to the survivors and the caregivers and the people who have went through this journey, as well as someone whom they know about who went through the journey. Without all you guys, we as clinicians are a very, 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 very small piece of the bigger quest to conquer. And I think a big shout out for all of you guys putting your time to your personal time to do this. Cancer certainly brings the scare that no other condition brings, and when we talk about it. And I'm sure Ravina and everyone else went through every time they have a scan. And I'm sure that it's a level of anxiety that it is not describable. And I'm sure Dr. Gore does as well, that we do our best to try to reach out to our folks as soon as the scan is done, although they have a visit several days later to talk about the scan in detail, because we understand the anxiety level of that scan. We talked during this forum, a very, very difficult set of cancers, colon to stomach to lung, because these are very difficult cancers to recognize early. There's no one symptom, there's no sign, there is no one screening, there is no one method by which they can be detected, no way to predict, there's no one thing they have done that has contributed to go through these cancers. So that's what makes these cancers very, very hard. But we are gradually making inroads into this. And that's why I felt aptly named as How to Conquer Them. There's no one magic bullet, there's no one method to it. So for lung cancer, what has been the problem? I think this problem has been for decades. It starts from the anatomy of the cancer. As Dr. Gore mentioned, the hollow organs are very hard to detect. So lung is one of those organs where it is simply in our chest. It is, I call it, a huge mammoth of a tree that is inverted. And imagine every leaf as an alveolus, a place where gas exchanges, just like how a leaf exchanges air or carbon dioxide and releases oxygen. This is exactly the same way, but in a bigger set, it's a big trunk, it has two major branches where the family of alveoli supply. The right lung has about an upper lobe, a middle lobe, and a lower lobe. A left has a superior lobe and an inferior lobe, or we could call it an upper lobe and a lower lobe. The middle lobe is somewhat obliterated because of the heart, but the primary branches, the secondary, the tertiary branches, and these called bronchioli or bronchioles. These are the small little branches that extend all the way to the lung. Imagine everywhere the air goes, there is a blood supply that goes there. So we understand how connected, how intricate, how complex the lung is. And the alveoli, I call them little balloons. If you look at a football is made of, the latest footballs are made of these millions and billions of balloons, small little balloons. This is exactly like that, but the only difference is we didn't make it. We didn't make the lungs. So these alveoli exchange air between the lung and to the air that's transferred to the blood and that carries the oxygen to all over the body. In a bigger sense of anatomy, these lungs are well protected by our body. using muscles, bones, cartilage, joints, and it's also covered by something called pleura. Pleura is a very thin, flimsy blanket that covers the lungs, that protects the lungs as well as it helps the lung to expand and relax. So I think as we think about conquering, we have to understand what we're made of. So some history of cancer. It's the most common cancer worldwide. It's 2 million new cases as of 2018 and 1.8 deaths. It is the leading cancer mortality in both men and women. These are not great statistics. These are statistics that just make us cringe. 13% of all the cancers cases, but 25% of all the cancer-related deaths. Lung cancer mortality surpasses breast, colon, and prostate cancer combined. But although lung cancer has passed breast cancer mortality in 1987, since then, it has still been the leading cause of mortality. That means in 30 plus years, we have not unfortunately made much progress in that. Of course, there's many factors in that, but at least lately, if you look at as of 2020, the survival data, there has been a 6% improvement. I mean, I know in banking terms and statistic terms, 6% is not a lot, but in being a thoracic oncologist, 6% is huge improvement in survival in lung cancer. But of course, it's years of improvements in prevention, screening, smoking cessation. So there's lots of methods that has come down to that. From a look at ethnic trends, the Caucasian population still has a fairly significant amount of cancer-related deaths. But what's important to see here is, if you look at African-American population, even though the lung cancer incidence is actually low in African-Americans, but the mortality is much more significant. The same we see in Asian population as well, that the mortality in the Asian population is high and American Indian population is much high. Of course, there's a lot of factors, but in Asian population, the smoking trends is continuing to go up as opposed to the Western population, where actually the smoking trend trending down. That leads to the 5-year survival of any cancer that we define, especially in the major part of the lung cancer, which is a non-small lung cancer. The stage 4 cancer survival rates are dismal. Part of it is the nature of the malignancies. But when we look at the stage 1, still is actually not very good. It's barely 64, 67% 5-year survival for a stage 1. When comparing that to talking about breast cancer survival in stage 1 is in the range of 84 to 96%. So that leads us to understand how much more journey to go to make some inroads into this. Average 5-year survival rate for a lung cancer is about 18.6%. But look at the average survival for breast cancer is about 80%, and for colon cancer it's about 80%. Although the average survival for an early stage lung cancer is in the range of 56%, but the number of percentage of cases that are diagnosed in early stage lung cancer is only 16%. So most of the cases are diagnosed as in an advanced stage. Risk factors: smoking. But smoking is not the only risk factor, but it is the most preventable of the risk factors. There are other risk factors, including asbestos exposure, air pollution, occupational exposure, like chemicals, like paint dyes, people who work in the radioactive settings. Radon is a big risk factor, or at least it's slowly better understood nowadays. Understanding the biology is important as well to understand how we conquer this. Many years ago, lung cancer was seen as one single entity, and that was it. As we understood better, we could classify that further as a non-small cell and a small cell lung cancer. Small cell occupies a small percentage of the cases, non-small cell is the percentage of cases. As we started to understand more, we understood that non-small cell is not an entity, but it is a more, we call it heterogeneous, means it has a different badges to each one. So there are at least 4 of them that we know of. But we are moving away from that. We are entering into this realm of molecular subtyping. As Terri mentioned, I think she has the group KRAS kickers. And because of all the efforts of the bench research and years of understanding, even the bench researchers actually get a very little recognition, because one molecule they work hard for 10 years may not even lead to anything, but eventually something might trigger something. For example, AK, one of the receptors we see there, it was an accidental discovery. So there are many accidental discoveries like that. But KRAS, you can see, is a fairly significant portion of non-small cell. But still, as of 2020, we don't have a really one just that's out there for it. But there are a lot of clinical trials in the works right now to conquer that KRAS mutated lung cancer. But what we are understanding is we're trying to decipher this lung cancer into thinking that it is not a single entity. Let's see it as who it is as a personality. Whether and we still have 50% of the adenocarcinoma, or 50% of the squamous is still unknown. But we're slowly unraveling this cancer. As for the symptoms, I know it's been mentioned before, but still chronic coughing, coughing of blood, meaning hemoptysis, wheezing sound, chest and bone pain, recurrent infections, like not just a one-time infection, but you're feeling that an infection that's not going away, an infection that's keep coming back, difficulty swallowing, raspy hoarse voice, shortness of breath, unexpected weight loss, nail clubbing, that looks like more like a parrot beak appearance of the nails. Or sometimes, I've seen cases where somebody coming in with arthritis of the wrist joint, we call it hypertrophic osteoarthropathy. So there is, what it all comes down to is, it doesn't mean that every cough is cancer. I think that's what happens sometimes when we go to WebMD, is like, you cough and you're just panicking that it could be cancer. But what we're trying to focus is if there are risk factors. But the key is seeking attention with minor symptoms. It's okay. There's nothing wrong in saying, why am I constantly doing like that? Or why am I constantly having a phlegm in my throat? Understanding that, okay, let me just seek attention. There's nothing wrong in having. When we ask history, I know there's always been a concept, especially at least, my aunts and uncles who still say that, I went to this doctor, they charged me 500 rupees for 10 minutes of my visit. So sometimes I try to educate them that in the 10 minutes when the physician is talking to you, they're going through lots of these checkpoints, understanding who is this person, what is the risk factors, what could potentially be going on here. It's not easy. It's very, very hard to recognize a symptom and link it to a particular diagnosis. But we have a way to fish it out with the history, with the symptoms, with the thing. And sometimes when we don't know, we always tell, okay, let's do this, let's come back, or let's talk again. And where I think recognizing the early symptoms is the key in identifying things early. Staging. A simple staging is sufficient. This one picture, I think, highlights a staging. A stage 1 is something where it is minimally invasive and it is not spread at all from one lung. A stage 2 is defined in many, many different ways, but simply speaking, it could have possibly spread to one lymph node on the same side of the lung, or it could have spread to, or it could have been a size that qualifies it as a stage 2. Stage 3 means something that has crossed this middle part, which is called the mediastinum, which is crossing that area, or it has a larger lymph nodes in that region. Stage 4 means something that has spread to the distant parts of the body. A big step in the staging. 2 years ago, if we noticed a lymph node right here, as I'm showing in, I could see, but stage 3, this little darker area on the other side of the lung mass, we considered that as incurable. We did not offer them curable treatments. But 2020, it is considered a kill disease. So that's how much advances we could make over the last several years. There are many parts of the workup. It always starts with the chest X-ray because it's easy, but chest X-ray is X-ray. I'm not a big fan of chest X-ray, but that's a good starting point. It's very economical. It is cost effective, but it can also sometimes, if there's anything major going on, you can quickly get a picture of what's happening. A CAT scan could always be involved in the workup, a bone scan, a PET scan that employs the sugar labeled dye, a pulmonary function test that assesses someone's capacity, an MRI of the brain or sometimes the spine to look more deeper, echocardiogram sometimes to look at the heart. A biopsy is always important. Biopsy is the gold standard to diagnose lung cancer or any cancer for that matter. The new thing is the generation sequencing. This is where we try to identify these mutations. It is an FDA-approved test in America, but it's only in a stage 4 setting, but not in an earlier setting. But we're starting to understand the importance of it. And what this does is it not only identifies what we call it targetable mutations are, but also I think it helps us in the future as we look at, if we have done one of these tests, we're able to look at this and to see the patterns. We get able to see what mutations, what is this test trying to tell us? Maybe identifying a newer ways of targeting the lung cancer. A brief word about the treatment. We go on for hours when we talk about the treatment, but this slide I think really depicts where we were, where we are now, where we could actually potentially go in the future. It was only in 1970s when we could even understand that surgery could be a potential option. And then radiation took another 10 years to make some inroads. Chemotherapy, it was not until the 1980s, and to figure out what combinations work better, another 10, 15 years. But the bottom line is, it took us 50 years from the time surgery was thought to be an option to the newer options of immunotherapies, targeted therapies, immunotherapy combinations. I see them as 3 different ways. Chemo is like a bomb. It is helpful, it has its place, but it causes a lot of collateral damage. Targeted therapies are more like laser-guided missiles. If you know what you're doing, they're very, very effective targets. Immunotherapies are more like changing the whole behavioral or changing the whole environment of the body. We're letting the body fight. That means how we're letting the body take care, giving it the potential targets. And that is where we're heading. Screening, extremely important, because after years and years of research, years and years of awareness, eventually Medicare and all the organizations are recognizing the importance of screening. But still, I don't believe it captures everyone. When we limit the age between 55 to 80, we're missing a lot of population. And smoker or quit in the last 15 years. A pack year is important. The number of pack years means number of packs of cigarettes smoked per day, the number of years you smoke. Anyone can calculate. A lot of people do talk. I don't smoke, doc. Even my own father used to say that. I never smoke. It's always on the ashtray, and I barely take puffs. But there is that risk of the smoke. And I think that is important to understand that. And lung cancer screening does save lives. There is absolutely no question. I can give numerous anecdotal stories about that. Nowadays, the screening is done through what we call low-dose CT scan. There are 4 key components to it. Detail is the key. It's extremely good detail, better than a chest X-ray. Safety first. It gives 90% less radiation than a conventional CT scan. It's very accurate and it's very fast. So there's been some interesting research now in Asian countries about breath inhalation tests, looking at some carbon compounds to see if that could help us to detect. I don't think there's one magic bullet here again. I think we could always use a combination of a CT scan and breath analyzer, but they're not proven yet, but there is a lot more. People who are in the artificial intelligence and people who are young people, probably who are listening here, could look into use artificial intelligence to design algorithms for who will benefit from these tests. And there could be, that's the future. A word about palliative care, for sure. I don't think any cancer journey is complete without palliative care. And when Ravina, Terri, and Dr. Priti, they all have emphasized on support. Support. We as Christians, it's very hard to do that because we're pressed on time. But we always want to, but know how to. I think palliative care is one. I don't believe palliative care being a part of the team when there are no curative options available. I think palliative care should start at the time of diagnosis because they're one team where a combination of people coming together to provide the physical, emotional, social, spiritual strength, which adds a huge amount of benefit to the person going through this journey, because we don't believe that it's just allopathic medicines that cure cancers or anything. We believe a lot in everything else that comes together, ranging from Dr. Gord stressed a lot about stress. I completely believe in that. I think if there are two factors that are extremely important in a person's life before cancer, during cancer, after cancer, stress, and one other factor is sleep. I truly believe in a very good sleep is very important for the body's immune system, and stress absolutely equally so. So where does the future hold? Again, I focus a lot on the young people because I don't call myself old, but saying that, but I think I don't have the know-how of what the future is. I think it's limitless. There are always three factors: prevention, better detection, and better targets. A prevention starts with smoking. And the left slide there highlights within 20 minutes of stopping smoking, heart rate and blood pressure drop, they get better. Within 24 hours, the chance of heart attack starts to decrease. Within 2 weeks to within 3 months, circulation, lung function gets better. Within 5 years, risk of multiple cancers, throat cancers, esophageal cancers, all are cut in half. And 10 years of smoking, lung cancer risk is cut in half. Risk of heart disease become non-smoker risk in 15 years. So when people talk to me about, oh, what's the big deal? I smoked 50 years. What's the big deal quitting now? I emphasize on these statistics. I say, this is important. It's never too late to quit. The second slide highlights what we call a liquid biopsy. I think this is where we're going in the future. So as we talked about screening, it'd be difficult to do a CT scan every year, but we may come up with a technology of a blood test where we could detect these, what we call a circulating tumor cells or circulating tumor DNA. This could broaden the screening for every single cancer. And there may come a day when you get, rather than annual screening where, Dr. Bhagia, he had an normal annual screening, normal exam. We may go beyond an exam to have a blood test to be able to detect, okay, what's going on at least. The third slide emphasizes the complexity of cancer, a lung cancer cell. You can see all the highlighted stars there. People who are doing bench research, people who are in the AI side of things, people who are on the technology side of things. This is where we're heading to identify the targets. Understand much faster. Previously, it takes 30 years to develop a single drug. We should cut it down to now 5 to 10 years to develop a single drug. I think this is where the future holds. We'll take the questions from there.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Raghava, for giving us all the insights from early detection to treatment to management. And thank you so much for acknowledging the scientists, because I've been a scientist all my life, working on all the molecular level immunotherapy, drug therapy, and targeted therapy, and so the biomarkers. We did a lot on that. So I understand, what we go through. And yeah, on the acknowledgement part, we are never recognized, but thank you for bringing that up.
That is true, Lopa. I myself 3 years of molecular biology, and when I first started, to be honest, first year I used to think I worked on drug delivery systems, and that was, what difference is it going to make? It doesn't make any sense to me. But as I matured into the molecular aspect of it, I started to understand that without molecular research, I don't think we are where we are or where we in the next many years. Without them, I think they're the unsung heroes in a big way who are just I shouldn't use the word hold in the lab, but they are in a way hold up in the lab and just do hours and hours, midnights, and checking their experiments, how they're working. It is a phenomenal amount of work what they do.
Thank you so much for saying that. And I think one thing that I have realized in the last 3 years with BCH was that when a lot of patients reach out and when I'm explaining the full mechanism to them, what actually is happening inside the body with the drug delivery, chemotherapy, how the action takes place, pros and cons of the clinical trials, that I think people like it, at least they're on, because it's their own body and they want to know about it. And I know oncologists wouldn't have the time to do that. So I think that's where, as scientists, we can really make an effect of help the patients from that regard. And saying that, and thank you for the amazing talk, and I'm so grateful to all our speakers today for your time. And I know it's already we are right on time, we finished the session, but we are open to question and answers. And thanks to our speakers, if you could stay back a little bit longer, that would be really helpful for us, because we might be having questions. And so you can unmute yourself, and I do not see any questions on the chat forum. So maybe let's make it an interactive discussion, and please unmute yourself, or if you would like to come to the video mode and pose your question to our panel, that would be great. And thank you to everyone who stayed back, who listened to us, all our participant guests. And without you, this would not have been possible, right? So we have amazing participants and guests who have joined us, and all the time muted and no disturbance. Really thankful to each of you here. Yes. Any questions, please unmute yourself, and we are here to answer you.
I may actually ask the question to some of the speakers. I think this question is especially for Dr. Priti, Ravina, and Terri. Many times we face our patients, and a lot of them want to give up on the fight very quickly, partly because what they heard. And I think part of the problem is, you see a lot of negative reviews on the internet. Part is a lot of positive stories are overwhelmed by the negative story. Negative stories means negative outcomes. And as much as I try to emphasize as a physician to my patients that the fight is not over until you fight, because there are options. There is ammunition for you to fight. One of the key problems I face is I wish I could connect them to someone who've been through the journey so they can understand what the journey might look like as they go along. And many times I don't expect them to understand a lot, because it's very hard to understand this complex information. Even a year later, sometimes some of my patients ask me, so you mean to say I have stage 4 cancer? How come I never heard about that? Because it's very, very difficult to make sense of when you're shocked and you're sitting in front of us, especially during the times when they have no family to support them through the journey. How do you connect without losing, at the same time following, the paths and, the confidentialities and everything? How do you connect them to people who have been through their journey?
I'd love to answer that question, if you don't mind. Locally and actually internationally, we're working on lung cancer support groups where survivors come in together. And right now it's all virtual. We have a monthly one in Charlotte. We meet the second Tuesday of the month. And so we've got one this coming Tuesday. And we have hope totes that we hand out to, whether it's Novant, Levine, all the different hospitals around the country, that include invitations to the local groups, and whether it's in LA or Virginia or whatever. And we're just now kind of with like KRAS kickers kind of being able to connect with some of the other international communities. I didn't catch which hospital setting that you're with. Which one? I'm at Novant. We work with Novant and Levine offhand. Which one are you at?
I work with Levine.
Okay, then we work with Elizabeth Hess, and we've got survivor bags, which we call Hope Totes. That inside those bags, there's the invitation to the LiveLung meetings, which are every Tuesday. And she's comes and works on some of our activities and whatever with us. So I would ask her about it specifically. We do a lot of activities. We were very engaged with Jen Ursick when she was there, that sort of thing. And as we're kind of getting around the country right now, when we're doing these meetings virtually, we're bringing in speakers like yourself. Sometimes we're bringing in, like, it's a pathologist, it may be somebody who's doing music therapy or art therapy or something like that. And just kind of like tell things where they're at and what's going on in their world. And it's a mutual conversation. And from that point, the survivors are connecting amongst ourselves. All we can do is extend the invitation to the patients, right? And to the patient's family. We can't make them come. The first time I attended one of these meetings, I walked in and I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting to see people attached to oxygen, like looking almost dead, right? I didn't expect to see normal looking people. And walking and just seeing, not even knowing who was what, just feeling the amount of hope and the energy within that room was enough to keep me going. So I would say just connecting people, and online, it's huge. It's huge.
Dr. Raghava, there is a stomach cancer warrior group on Facebook. I think your question is more one-on-one, because for the sicker patients, if you want to connect, I'm willing to talk to anybody if you have somebody, especially for stomach cancer. Some people are very sick, and if they would benefit with one-on-one talk with the family, we can develop a mentorship group. There's enough social media help that it can be easily done.
Ravina, you are muted.
I would like to piggyback on that with Priti. I mean, I have been in Charlotte, and I can only speak for colon cancer, as in on the medically related route. But when it comes to helping them spiritually, or if it is just to give them support, we have Breast Cancer Hub, which has so many so many wings, so you can turn them over to the right people for sure. But me personally, like Priti said, when people need help one-on-one, they need it personally. Out here, sometimes people don't have support, they don't have family, or they have to be strong just by themselves. As single people, they're not that connected, or they're far away from their families, and you do lose hope, because especially like when I heard that I was stage 3B, I gave myself 2 years. I'm around here now for over 6, but at that time, because I was unaware, and when I heard it, I was like, okay, I'm going to be gone in a couple years, And so you need to turn people over to people who have, yet around, who have made it, to turn, I mean, of course, always go the medical route, do the right thing, but also to connect spiritually or make the right connections. So, Dr. Raghava, if there's any time, anything, you have my number, and I really like the idea what Priti said. If we can make a mentorship group, any one of us can always be there to help someone locally if possible, in person, but otherwise over the internet, social media, there's just so much we can all do. So that would really and that is one of my reasons of advocacy. As Lopa knows, I have always reached out to people, spent few hours sometimes on the phone with them, and talk to them, trying to tell them what to do, because I mean, people with their loved ones, they have no idea which route to take. Lopa, I think you know when we had a couple of people from India who connected with us, and
Yeah, we spend
you know,
hours
just
talking,
we
talking
have
to them
spent,
what needs to
yeah,
be done next, and yeah, it's
yeah, and after the shock, I think it's the anger. I think it's the anger, and in India, you know, it's bad because you cannot even get treatment till you put the money down, you know. So it's a lot of anger, it's a lot of helplessness at that point, and you know, needing. And India, the worst, the other problem is everything is so taboo. If you talk to somebody about stage 3 or 4, they will not even admit it. I just met somebody recently whose sister in India was diagnosed with uh, I think it's lung, but some problems in the also with it in the hips, and they refuse to acknowledge it. I'm like asking her, like, what stage is it? She doesn't want to tell me. She does not want to tell me. And then she said that my sister is very like, she cannot talk about it. We don't talk about it in front of her because, you know, so it's such a big taboo even now with the younger generation. You know, families are just not very accepting of it, so they need support outside of just the family sometimes.
yeah. Thank you. So truly said, Ravina. And Dr. Raghava, I can add here is that, so from Breast Cancer Hub, if you have anyone needing support with one-on-one with breast cancer, or as I said, colon cancer, stomach cancer, so we have advocates, especially breast cancer. We have many from Charlotte, and I can definitely connect them to you, and they can do the one-on-one. And we are more than happy to do that. And the challenge we face is from India, but I think, as Ravina said, that's why it becomes like, my one-on-one goes 30 minutes. If it's 30 minutes, it will be 45 minutes with different, like breast. It starts from breast cancer is the biggest taboo. So, but I think that talking is what really helps. And we are always here. If you feel that someone is needing the support and help, and so definitely we are here. You can just reach out to us for sure.
And in research in AI, Dr. Raghava, to your point, the AI and the 3D printing of organs and all is happening. One of my very close friends, he's online actually. I can connect him to Dr. Roy on the advances that are happening in 3D printing of organs and AI and cancer research.
That would be great, Dr. Priti. Thank you so much.
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised because I always think that when we could open the door remotely from a different country, I'm sure we should be able to better understand our own human body using the technology. But you know, healthcare always lags behind in terms of resources, in terms of
it's not. You'll see it in your lifetime. You will see it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Priti. Thank you, Terri. Thank you, Ravina. And thank you, Dr. Raghava. It was an amazing question.
Thank you, Lopa, for making this happen and for conducting these forums week after week, and your dedication, as always. You are just one amazing human being, knowing that you have always had so many challenges in your life, but always facing everything with a smile. You are just, you know, you are amazing.
No, please, Ravina. Now I'll break down now. No more. I get very...
No, because you let us be the speakers and everything, and you face so many challenges, and you know, it's just amazing. You're just so selfless.
Thank you so much. And it's because of each of you, right? So I can do this because you all give me the strength.
Archana wants to say something, I think.
Yes, Archana, thank you for joining from Mumbai.
Thank you so much. First of all, a very very warm, whatever it will be, good evening or जो भी है आप लोगों के इधर. It's my pleasure to be a part of this session, and it was fantastic, awesome, amazing. And my review, I don't have right now any questions because Dr. Raghav, Dr. Priti, Dr. Lopa, आप सभी ने सारे क्वेश्चंस का समाधान कर दिया है. So my heartfelt gratitude to each and every speaker of this today's session, and मेरा सौभाग्य रहेगा कि मैं आगे और आप लोगों को ज्वाइन कर सकूं. रवीना जी, ऑल द बेस्ट, यू स्पीक वेरी वेल. मैंने सबके कन्वर्सेशन सुने, मुझे बहुत ही अच्छा लगा. सॉरी फॉर आई एम स्पीकिंग इन हिंदी, बट I am too much comfortable in Hindi. Hope you all understand. I think लोपा जी is convert करके बतला देगी.
Okay,
और
sure.
I am a social activist और this is my first session with you all guys. मैं विश करूंगी कि फ्यूचर में मुझे कभी कोई ऐसे पेशेंट्स मिलते हैं तो मैं आप लोगों के साथ सबके साथ कनेक्ट करने का कोशिश करूं. और आप सबके लिए वन वर्ड है, ग्रेटिट्यूड ग्रेटिट्यूड ग्रेटिट्यूड.
Thank you. Thank
Over
you
to
so
you,
much.
Lopa ji.
Yeah, so Terry and Letter and everyone who do not understand Hindi. So Archana from India, she's really grateful to all our speakers and she's extremely thankful. And she said, you all were amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Archana, and thank you, Lopa. I think
yeah. So
Sure.
probably we do not, if we have, so we will take one last question if we have, and then we will close the session. So our speakers are still here. Thank you for your patience to our speakers. Like, you have been staying back and probably no one is unmuting. So, and I think no more questions, but the session is being recorded, and I'm going to send to everyone the recorded session by tomorrow for sure. And so that if you want and if you feel that anyone is going through the challenges, please share this particular recording, because for the breast cancer, for the childhood cancer, we have done that. And from so many parts of the world, people are saying that gets circulated, because people realize it when they get affected. At that point, these sessions are so powerful and helpful. So, thank you to all our speakers, because your words, as advocates, as oncologists, this is going to be so helpful for others fighting cancer and for the families faced with cancer. So thank you. And saying that, I would like to, close the session by first and foremost thanking to each and every guest here for your patience, for joining us today, supporting the cause of cancer, and to all the students who have been joining us all throughout with all the sessions. Thank you very much. All the ambassadors and all the families. And also I know Mr. Letter joined from Africa. Thank you so much. And so it's amazing that globally we are connected and we function as one family, though we are miles apart. Saying that, thank you to
one more important point. Together we can do more.
And so thank you to our esteemed speakers again, Ravina, Dr. Priti, Terri, Dr. Raghava, and Dr. Gaur. And saying that, I would like to close the session today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
and everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.